Why Java has data types? Let me get into the concept of data types now. So why Java has variables then? Java has why Java has data types? Why Java has data types? Simple guys. Why Java has data types in the sense, let me erase. Why Java has data types? So it means Java is a strongly typed language, guys. Java is a strongly strongly typed language. That means I can tell you what is it mean. That means you must specify what type of data you are going to store. What type of data you are going to store. You are going you are storing. I can say you are storing. Okay. And Java does not guess anything. Like without letting you must specify why I'm saying is without your for example if you are not specifying what type of data you are storing, Java won't guess what type of data you are storing. Okay, so you must specify what type of data you are storing. If you are not specifying what type of data you are storing, Java does not guess it. So simple. Java because java does not guess because Java does not simple. So why we are going to use data types in the sense? So for the memory optimization and some error prevention and performance improvement, we are going to use the Java like data types in Java. So for example, let me tell you some basic examples of what to do and what not to do everything. So let me give you an examples directly. Examples are nothing but let me do int a is equal to int a is equal to some 10. So int a is equal to some 10. Int a is equal to some 10, guys. So some next a is equal to, see, I declared a variable with a is equal to 10. I initiated the value with 10 also, but later what I have done is I have just manipulating the data that a is equal to double quotes in Java. So what it is simply I can say it is an error. It is an error because just Java stops mistakes at compile. See, Java stops mistakes at compile time, guys. You must remember this point. Java stops mistakes at compile time directly at compile time. So must be able to aware of this everything, these mistakes and everything and all. So we should not do any type of those type of errors in the upcoming learning process. Okay, I will let you know what are the beginners mistakes and everything, what at which step everyone will make a mistake, everything and all we'll discuss. So next step is like of types of data in Java. Okay, types of data in Java. Fine. So how we are going to discuss? Java data types are divided into two types. Java data types are divided into two types. The first type is primitive data type, and the second type is non-primitive data type. So first one is primitive data type. Second one is non-primitive data types. So okay, primitive data types and non-primitive data types. So for some particular type of for learning the DSA purpose, we should be very focused on primitive data types itself. Okay, for DSA for data structures and algorithms, we focus first on the primitive data types, and we can also focus on non-primitive data types. But to non-primitive, we mostly use primitive data types. So let me get into the concept right now. So the first one is the primitive data types primitive data types. Okay. Primitive data types. The primitive data types is nothing but, so we are going to have some primitive data types like int, long, double, float, char. These are all boolean, everything. These are also called as the primitive data types. So why we are going to use them all means, like, let me explain you. First, we'll discuss about int, guys. So int is going to be used widely in DSA. Okay, int is going to use widely in DSA. So int is going to use, can say, like, we'll write like this, used for numbers, uh, indexes, some counters, and loop variables. Loop variables. Okay, we are going to use them as loop variables and for you. So for storing for numbers and indexes and counters and loop variables, we are going to use int data types. So what is meant by them? For let what is the example for it? Example is nothing but int a is equal to 100. Int a is equal to 100. So then what is the size of int? Size of int, we can say simply as 4 bytes. Okay, 4 bytes, simple, guys. So next primitive data type is long. So next long, why we are using long then? Long we are going to use for the large numbers itself. For long numbers, I can say directly for long numbers. Okay, for long numbers we are going to use the data type called as long. So used, this is going to be used when, this is going to be used when, I can say directly, used when int is not enough. It's not enough. Simple, guys. When we are going to use a variable, long data type, sorry, long data type, we are going to use long data type when int is not enough to store our data. So example, let me tell you, let me tell you one thing. So example, so int, like, I can say, what are the things we can't able to store in integer. Let me take an example of population in our country or in this world. So let me take long population. Let me take long population. So why can't we store this data? Why can't we store this data directly? It's like population can be a long number, right? So I can say you directly, like, I can give you the population as much as like this number. So long population is equal to this particular value. So why we are using L at the last of the value? So we are telling Java, I can tell you, like, why L. So why L? We are telling to Java it long value. Okay. We are telling him it's a long value. Like, we are telling Java to Java, it is a long value. Simple. Why we are using L at the end of the value? We are just letting Java it's a long value, just simple. Okay, next value is next thing, next data type is like double. So what is double then? To store some type of decimal values we are going to use. Okay, where we are going to use to store our data in a decimal type of format, we are use, like, it can be used for, I can say you directly as to store some decimal numbers or division results, or it can be anything. So it used for decimal values or some division results. It can be anything. So we can use for decimal values to store decimal values or division results. So for example, how can I give you? Let me give an example of uh, double average. So I have done some average result. So the average I got is 85.5, like some number. Okay, some number. So double average is equal to 85.5. Done as of now. So next variable type we are going to discuss is char. So char is nothing but a single character. We are going to whenever we want to store or whenever we want to divide a complete word into single things, single characters, then we are going to store it as a in the type of char. So single character. It stores, it's simple. It stores only, I can write directly, it stores only single character. It stores only single character. Okay. So next, what is an example for it? I can give you an example of char grade is equal to some, we are going to get some grades, right, in our school on academics, enter academic systems, like we are going to get an A grade or B grade or C grade or O grade or D grade or F grade. So let me take an example of A grade. Okay, use to provide an input we must give our, i can say I can say you a note point as, to give our value we must give that value in a single quotes. We must use single quotes. Okay, we must use a single quotes. Wait a second, guys. So, in order to declare to provide a value for a particular car data types, we need to use single. Uh, we are using like we are using use single quotes. I can give you as use single quotes, and we must store the ASCII values. If you give use, I can say simply. Wait a second, guys. Note pointers, it is single quotes and it stores ASCII values internally. If you store like this, char grade is equal to single quotes A, it will store the ASCII value of this A internally. Okay, char grade is equal to A. In single quotes, I mentioned A. So what it is going internally, if you are providing like this it is going to store the ASCII value of A internally in this char grade. Okay, so I can write directly as it stores ASCII value internally. ASCII value internally. Simple, guys. It uses single quote to store the value. So it takes internally the ASCII value directly in the char grades variable. Okay. Next data type we are going to see is Boolean, guys. So Boolean. So the Boolean value can be stored or can be used for storing like true or false. Simply to store whether it is a true or false or yes or no. For this kind of things, we are going to use true or false. It can be used for directly. It can be used for conditions, flags, or any decision making types. Okay, decision making types. Fine. Okay. So what is the best example I can give you is uh, example Boolean is passed is equal to true. Let me give you as true. So Boolean is passed is equal to true in the sense here Boolean is nothing but a data type. Is passed is our variable name and true is a value name. Simple, guys. So next, the most basic and important question: why string is not primitive data type? Okay, as of now, we've seen five primitive data types, and why we are not including in this five, why we are not including string as a the most frequently asked questions in many interviews or some any of your faculties or any panel members. Why string is not primitive? So why string is not primitive data type? Simple, guys. Why string is not primitive data type? So this question may be asked by some of any of your friends or any some clients or any your faculties or any client members. So let me take an example of name is equal to string name is equal to Java. Okay, string name is equal to Java. So why it is not primitive? Why not primitive? Like string stores multiple characters at the same time, and it is an object. So it provides some methods also. So in order to cover all these things, we'll cover strings separately. So we'll discuss this strings later. Okay. Or let me explain you directly. Wait a second. So what I'm saying is string is not primitive data type. So I gave you an example of string name is equal to Java. So in Java, I can tell you this question is a very confused thing for most of beginners as well. So in Java, string is primitive data type because it is treated as an object. It is treated as an object, not a simple value. That is the thing I'm telling you again. So we have the above discussed all those five data types or two data types. It stores only one value, and it doesn't have any methods also. Here I gave you an example. String stores multiple characters. I can tell you in a just in a clear way. Wait a second. I can explain you. So the above one discussed like int, double, char, boolean. These are all going to store. These are all stores only one value and have no methods as well. Have no methods. Okay. So what is an example for it? It stores only one value in the sense int x is equal to 10. So it's a best example. So int or double or anything is going to they are going to store only single value. Okay, but string is not going to store a single value. But here the string is going to store multiple characters. Okay, here the string I gave you string name is equal to double quotes Java. So this contains. So let me take this here. I will keep you here. Okay, let me tell you. String name is equal to double quotes Java. So what is happening? This contains, or else this name contains multiple characters. I repeat, this name contains multiple characters. What are the multiple characters? J, A, B, A. So Java, it is totally combined word, but I separated that particular word. It is going to contain four separate characters: J, A, V, A. So because it is going to store a multiple characters, a string represents a sequence of character, but not a single value. I repeat, string represents a sequence of characters, but not a single value. Okay. I gave you an example also. So let me write that definition. Let me write that line. String represents string represents a sequence of a sequence of characters or a sequence of characters, not a single value, not a single value. Okay. A string represents a sequence of characters, but not a single value. But why we are not going to call it as a primitive type? Because int, double, char, boolean stores only one value and they don't have any methods. But string doesn't store a single value. String stores multiple characters. I can say it's a sequence of characters. So this line is satisfied. And these four don't have any methods. But compared to string is going to have some methods. Okay. String also have methods store, like methods to call, inbuilt methods. Okay. So what it is called, I can tell you primitive data types do not have any methods. Primitive data types do not have any methods. But string has many built-in methods, many built-in methods like we are going to check length for it. We can check the length. We can also convert that entire string into uppercase, and we can also check with the caret what is the index at the particular value and everything under we can check it. So etc. I'm not going to mention all those things. So for example, we can also use things like particular name. What is a name? I can give you an example directly how we are going to access those methods. So we can access those methods as use this name here dot name dot length. The output you are going to get is 4 directly. The output you are going to get is 4. Only objects can have method. So string must be an object. Clear guys? Only object must have or can have methods. So string must be an object here. Must be an object. So string belongs to a class directly. String belongs to a class directly. Okay, guys. Let me tell you like I can tell you more deeper way. Okay, string also have methods. So these many reasons are having why we can't call string is a primitive data type. So it is not going to store a single value. It is going to store a multiple characters, like sequence of characters, not a single value. And my primitive data types do not have any methods, but string has many built-in methods like length to uppercase to lowercase, caret, everything. Okay, so for these two reasons also, for two these reasons, we are not going to call string as a primitive data type. Then what is a string? String must be an object or string belongs to class. What is it? So let me discuss you the thing. I can tell you like string belongs to a class. String belongs to a class. I can tell you string belongs to a class. So string belong to a class. String belong to a class. So what is meant by string? And I have clearly discussed you in the above section. So let me tell you what string belongs to a class. String is a class in Java. String is a class in Java. So to which class is going to belong? It is going to belong lang package. So java.lang.string. Java.lang.string. Okay, to that class is the string is going to belong in Java. So for example, I can also tell you, I just give an example directly. Example string is a class s is equal to new string of class. I can tell you directly hello. Hello. Okay. String belongs to a class. So string is a class in Java. So to which package it is going to belong? To lang package, it is going to belong in Java. Java.lang.string. So this clearly shows us string is created using a class, not a primitive data type. Okay. String is created using a class, but not as a primitive data type. Okay. Clear, guys? So let me tell you, this clearly shows that string is created using a class, not as a primitive data type, not as a primitive data type. Simple, guys. I hope it's clear as of. So we could discuss the primitive data types and I so clearly told you why string is not a primitive data type in Java and why it is called as a class and why it is called as object. We clearly discussed in the above section. So I can tell you that like primitive data type stores actual values, but string variable stores reference, like more memory, like memory access to the objects. I can tell you one summary point or final answer. Uh, I can tell you this answer can be answered to any of the peoples. For let me before writing the final answer, gunshot answer. Let me tell you the points I want to tell you. Primitive data types. Primitive data types. Okay, primitive data types store actual values. Simple, guys, but not. So what string it is going to do? String variables store references. References is nothing but memory addresses. Reference is nothing but memory addresses, guys. Memory addresses to objects. To objects. Here what primitive data types are going to do? Primitive data types are going to store the actual values, but string variables are not going to store the values. They are going to store the references are nothing but memory addresses to objects. Done, guys. The final answer I can give you is nothing but the final answer I can give you is it can be answered anywhere. It can be answered to the I can say it can also answer any examinations or it can also answer to any panel members and also string is not a primitive data type. String is not a primitive data type. String is not a primitive data type because because it is a class in Java. Because it is a class in a Java, and it stores a sequence of characters, and it has some built-in methods. It has built-in methods, and its variable stores references to objects rather than the simple values. Rather than the rather than simple values. This is the final answer, guys. String is not a primitive data type because it is a class in Java and it stores a sequence of characters and it has built-in methods and its variables stores references to objects and than the simple values. Done, guys. So with this, I can tell you why what are the like what are the data types and everything and all discussed very clearly, why it is not called as a primitive data type and what primitive data types and where we are going to use everything is going to be where everything got discussed clearly. We'll discuss this strings concept more deeper in the upcoming classes separately. Okay, where we are going to declare these variables, like we must able to understand at which scope we are going to use. We must understand the scope or variable types also. Okay, so let me tell you something, like I'll tell you types variable types. We must understand the scope at which scope we are going to use this variable types and all. The variable types, I can say, we are going to have local variable. The types we are going to have is local variable and instance variable. We are going to have several types of variables, like, so I'm going to discuss these variables slowly. So local variables, so local variables are nothing but, I can say, these local variables should be declared inside the methods, should be declared inside the methods. Okay, should be declared inside the methods, like you can also directly write as declare inside methods. Next, used only inside the method. I can also say it can be used only inside that method. It can be used inside that method only. If we are moving out of that method, we are not able to access particular variable which was declared inside that method. If we want to use that particular method outside also, we need to we should not use it is as a local variable. We should not treat it as all. We cannot initiate them as a local variable in a particular method. I can also an example. For example, let me tell you an example of uh, void testing. Void test. Okay, let us take an example of void test. Void test is a method. In this method, I'm going to declare int x is equal to 10. See, for example, if I'm declaring any variable inside this particular method, I'm not able to access this method outside of this method. I'm going to access this method only instead of the method only. So it is called as a local variable. Okay, then fine. So next, let me tell you about instance variables. Instance variable. Instance variable. It can be declared inside the class. Okay, declared inside a class belongs to object. Belongs to object. We'll discuss this topic in what is meant by instance variable and how we are going to discuss everything. Everything it is going to be discussed in the next upcoming OOP session. Like whenever we are discussing about OOP, we'll discuss about these things. Next, what is the next type of variable we have? Static variable. I can repeat, static variable. Okay, what is meant by static variable then? It belongs to class shared among all objects. I can say shared among all objects. Okay. It can be, I can explain this static variable also later. Okay. So very must and should topic and very much where we are discussing here is the type of variables we have: local variables, instance variables, and static variables. So I can say you some variable naming rules also, how to declare a variable, everything and all. We should not, many of the students or any working professionals also know about this. We should not start our, we should start our variable name with the letter. We can start only with the letters. Okay. First say, let's an example, we can start our variable name as with the letters or any symbols also. We can also use any special symbols also. We can also use any special symbols. So for example, our we can declare our variables as like this total marks, or else we can also declare as score underscore score. We can also declare like this, but we should not declare with we should not declare with numbers. Okay, let's say for example five, like this, five number like this. We can't declare. The correct way is in total marks we can start with letters or we can start with the special characters also. So we could not start with the number itself. I can write a command way as correct way for the naming rules for the variable which follows the which follows the naming rules. So okay, fine. But below is not correct way, not a correct way. Okay, it is not a correct way to for the variable which follows a name. It is not a correct way. I can directly write. Let me remove this. It is not a correct way. Simple, guys. So with this, we have successfully completed what is a variable and what is a data type. And with this, I can tell you why variables and data types are crucial for data structures and algorithms. Like so, in every problem, we are going to see all loops are going to use variables, all arrays are going to use indexes, all conditions are going to use Boolean values. All logic depends on the correct data type we are going to use. Okay, I can tell you, I can write here itself why variables and data types are crucial for DSA. Are crucial for DSA. I can tell you all loops use variables. All loops use variables. All arrays use indexes. All conditions use Boolean value. All logic depends on the data types we are going to use. All logic depends on the data type or depends on correct data type we are going to use. Okay, if you are using wrong data type, then your logic is not going to work for the moment until the moment you recognize the we provided the wrong data type. If you recognize that particular thing, your errors will many of the errors will solve. Okay, so wrong data type is simply leads to wrong logic. Simple, guys. So I can tell you at this moment, at this step up to here, and tell you you will be aware of what is a variable at this point. At this point I can tell you at this point you will be aware of the following things: what what a variable is, what a variable is, and why variables are needed, why variables are needed, how data is stored, why Java use data types, why Java use data types, and difference between all those, like difference between the int, long, double character, everything is discussed very clearly, so no need to write those things. So in next topic we are going to discuss is like operators.